I'm excited to be joined by a very long time friend of mine, but more so than being my friend, he is a state senator for the state of Florida, the 35th District of Florida, Senator Shevrin Jones. He's the founder of Lead Nation, a nonprofit dedicated to education, mentoring, service, character, and public speaking for middle and high school students. And he's the executive director of Florida Reading Corps. Senator Shevrin Jones, thank you so much for joining me. How you doing?
Senator, you got to get it right. That's a rattler right there. Get it correctly. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I mean, since she started, see, I try to throw in the white flag at the beginning of the segment. Simply
we ended the last segment. We ended the last segment with these people.
But Rebecca, did I not surrender? I said
well,
for the sake of the
you got
segment,
me fired up. But the Lord works in mysterious ways. He done brought this rattler on.
Oh, Jesus.
I love this. I mean, we can talk about this all day if we desire to.
No, let's get to the.
You are a proud graduate of Florida A&M University. Salute.
Wait, Ben, it's the Florida A&M University.
Put some respect on it.
That Florida A&M University.
We'll take that too. That the listen.
Florida A&M. No, here we go. No, but we will get back to the sibling rivalry that is. And let's be real. Like, the sibling rivalry is real because we get real angry when we talking about Bethune-Cookman and Florida A&M. We like me and Rebecca. We love each other, and we've known each other for years, and we love each other. But we'll come to rhetorical blows over our schools, respectively. That said, I want us to turn all of that rage that we have in our sibling rivalry against the people who really deserve it. Senator Jones, I was going to bring you on the show and would have you back at any time. But you said something on Twitter last night that I think is really poignant, and it is rooted in a clip of Governor DeSantis. Death Santis is what they're calling him now, because he has demonstrated time and again through this pandemic that he has no regard for human life. And before I read what you said, I want to first play the clip of Ron DeSantis in this press conference so that everyone can see exactly how repulsive this human being who is occupying the governor's mansion in Florida actually is. Take a look at this clip.
But look, I mean, if Manatee County doesn't like us doing this, then we are totally fine with putting this in counties that want it. And we're totally happy to do that. So anyone that's saying that, let us know. If you want us to send to Sarasota next time, or Charlotte, or Pasco, or wherever, let us know. We're happy to do it.
Now, to be sure, he's talking about the distribution of the vaccine. He's saying if you don't like what we're doing in your county, then we'll send your vaccines elsewhere. To that, you said, Senator Jones, you said, I serve the largest black district in Florida, Miami Gardens, a community that has been hit hard by this pandemic. And to hear this type of rhetoric from Governor DeSantis is disappointing. Some communities have to fight for vaccines while others are getting the red carpet. Could you just talk about your perspective on this and the problem that is Ron DeSantis?
Yeah, well, and I meant every word that I said, because we know what the coronavirus has done within our community. The statistics is real about the coronavirus, to where the black community have suffered much more because of pre-existing conditions, because of the lack of health care, more than our white brothers and sisters. And the governor is very well aware of the statistics, because we've shown it to him, the professionals have shown it to him. And for him to go to Manatee County to allow a commissioner to say that the 3,000 vaccines will be given to the two wealthiest zip codes within that county, while we're in South Florida fighting for vaccines, and we're getting 500 here, 500 there, 1,000 here, 1,000 there, and people can't get an appointment for 2-3 weeks, up to a month. That's the red carpet in Manatee County, while we still constantly have to fight to get vaccines for within our community. And I mean it, that within the state of Florida, District 35 is the largest black district in the state, but yet and still we're fighting like second-class citizens just to get vaccinated. And that's why African Americans do not trust the government and even the vaccine distribution or receiving it.
And it's Man, brother, you hit on a whole lot there, because even in our attempts to overcome the justifiable hesitation that Black people have with regard to receiving this vaccine, we are also having to overcome the disproportionate distribution of this that is in your state, not going to communities of color, specifically Black communities. So it's like you're fighting in your district, you're fighting on a two-front war against the misinformation, disinformation with regards to the vaccine, but also a state governor who simply has no regard for the conditions of people in your district.
No, I mean, there's no regard at all. I mean, but this is, I mean, it's not as if I'm surprised by what's happening, right? And the fact of the matter is this: if we don't say nothing, we're just as bad as the governor if we don't say anything about it. The problem that we're dealing with right now in the state of Florida is that there was no distribution plan. Because there was no distribution plan, we have all of these hiccups that we have going on. Thank God for Director Moskowitz, who is the director of emergency management here in Florida, because he, as much as he can, he did try to put these vaccine pods within African American communities, but he can only do what the executive leadership will allow him to do. And so, with that being said, we now sit in a position where we're begging for vaccines to come into our community to make sure that we can have the access that we need. If you want us to trust us, the government, as you all are trying to communicate to the Blacks to receive the vaccine, give them a reason to trust you.
Absolutely. I look at Florida, and all three of us on the screen now, we've all either lived in Florida for extensive amount of time or currently in Florida, as you are, Senator Jones. And I feel like a lot of the problem in that state is the fact that so many victories and for the Republicans have just like seceded one after the other. The political situation in the state of Florida is tenuous at best for people who actually want to do good. Talk about the political climate as it pertains to like how we actually survive this pandemic. There's political problems that we have. There's you guys are in the minority in the Senate, right? You guys are in the minority in the House, and you have DeSantis. How do we make these gradual changes that need to happen, simultaneously realizing that we don't have a lot of time to wait for these gradual changes?
Well, I'll be lying if I said that Democrats in Florida were elated with the state in local election results in November and what happened in August. While we were thrilled with the win of, and we celebrate Vice President Harris and President Biden, we clearly have some work to do when it comes to how we organize. We have work to do in the bench that we have. Let me tell you something. You put something on Facebook not too long ago, on Twitter not too long ago that I agree with, and that is we are approaching a time where we're going to have to start disrespecting our elders, respectfully disrespecting our elders. Because I believe that there is a bench that exists, but there are individuals who are in the way for that bench to now start clearing up.
Right.
We have stale leadership that constantly is getting reelected. And if we don't begin the process of moving new leadership in, the policies that can change and overturn and move us in a direction, this progressive direction that we want to move in, it'll never happen. We'll be waiting for years and years because individuals will not relinquish power to be able to give it to someone who can bring more innovative ideas. You won't have monopoly on the ideas. There are other people who can bring the ideas to help people within our community.
Rebecca, I want to bring Rebecca into this conversation as well, because like in the state of Florida, we have and I still say we, because I mean, like all my time, but college, high school was spent in Florida. But as you're saying, that stale leadership, it is infecting everything, not only on the state level, but even in those congressional seats. And as you know, I did say that it's time to start disrespecting our elders. And you took it exactly the way I want. Like, it's time for us to start moving that generation out of the way, not because they're older, but because exactly what you described is stale leadership. And Rebecca, I know, like, you know, in your time in Florida, you've run into some of these same problems that people are dealing with regard to leadership. Failure of leadership, not only for African-American communities, failure of leadership in terms of the Haitian community in Florida. It is indicative of exactly the problems that we're facing in Georgia, if you ask me.
Yeah, it's funny because in these places where we talk about leadership, we just talked about leadership in Texas, how they are focused on a certain type of people. Minorities, Black and brown people are going to be at the bottom of that list, especially immigrants in Florida will be at the bottom of that list when they are Black and brown immigrants. So we know that has been something, you know, especially me, my parents are immigrants. Leadership in South Florida has never, particularly in West Palm Beach, has never been, has never included them when it came to any things like policies or anything. They've always been at the bottom of the list. So when we look at people like George or DeSantis, when I was watching him speak, what's funny enough is that although we don't have Trump anymore as the leader, just in his mannerisms, you know, and how he's holding his hands and how he's talking to the people, to speaking down on them. And because they didn't like something, he says, if you didn't like it, I'm going to reprimand you some more by just taking it away and giving it to the other communities that accepted it. And that's not how you speak to people. That's not how you speak to people that are questioning you, rightfully so, and who are holding you accountable. So that just goes to show that leadership, you know, we have to start looking at who we have in place, which I think we are starting to, but this right here, focus on what these people are saying. Yeah. This is a whole Pandora's box. You know, we're in the middle of a pandemic. So, and this is how he's looking at the community. He says, this is supposed to be somebody that's supposed to be listening to the people, following what they say, seeing how he can help, seeing how he can take what they say and start developing policies and developing plans, right? That's why we put you in place. But you're just like, I made a decision. Y'all don't like it? I'm going to take it away and go give it to people who look like me.
Right.
So this is where the problem lies. Yeah.
Senator Shev?
Well, listen, period. There's nothing for me to say. Wait.
Point blank.
Wait, that's what I just made.
Period, point blank.
Florida A&M. It's a Florida A&M thing, you know?
Jesus, here we go. But the one thing that you said in there, Rebecca, that because the Trump is gone, but Trumpism, Senator Shev, Trumpism isn't gone.
That's real. It's alive. Trumpism is alive and well. But I will say this, that there is a place that we're in right now politically to where the Republicans are now having to find themselves. They're trying to figure out, are we Trump or are we the party before Trump? And it's a hard thing for them to try to balance, because the Trumpism is real, because you have those individuals who are diehard Trump Republicans. But then you do have your Reagan Republicans who we also consider moderates, who will work with individuals like myself on things like providing health care or providing education for public schools. I mean, they used to work together in these type of areas. I mean, but not this new party of hell no. That's where we're at right now. And so now they're trying to balance this area that they're trying to figure out, who are we? And it's going to take them some time to do that.
Absolutely. So my question then is, what strategy, because I know you're calculating. I know that you're not in this to play these games, right? What's the path? What's the path forward, both in the short term, because we have a crisis on our hands, this pandemic, the distribution of the vaccine, the reluctance of Black people to take the vaccine. I mean, those numbers, that percentage of Black people who don't want to take the vaccines is skyrocketing. So in the short term, what is the immediate strategy that you think we should employ in order to overcome not only Governor DeSantis and his shenanigans, but also the problems that we have with COVID-19 and the vaccination fears in the Black community?
Well, that's a loaded question, because we can go two different ways on that, right? So I can tell you from the political standpoint what the strategy should be. Let me deal with the politics first. I believe the strategy from politics, what we need to do is that the party here in Florida, we have a new leader now. We are going to have to learn that the sandbox is for everybody. We cannot be this party that says, oh, well, we're not going to deal with the Bernie bros, on the moderates in this sandbox. Or we're not going to deal with the Warren supporters and only the moderates. We can't do that. If we're going to win, we're going to have to get in the sandbox, deal with our grievances, find out what we all can agree on, what we disagree on, and figure out can we still go on a pathway forward? Because I can guarantee you, we all want the same thing. How we get in there is the problem. That's the first thing. As far as the pandemic is concerned, the only way we're going to get out of this is Florida cannot fight with the White House. And that's what's happening right now. Florida is fighting with the White House, and the governor, I don't know whether he's pissed off because Trump is not president anymore, or whatever the case might be. But that can't be the reason why we're not getting in the direction that we're moving in. If we are going to get out of this pandemic, we're going to have to create a partnership. If the governor don't want to do it, allow individuals who have a relationship with the White House to do it, to make sure that the 21 million people within the state of Florida is taken care of. Because at the end of the day, after he leaves office, and after this pandemic is done, we're still going to have 27,000 plus people who have already died, families who will have empty seats at their table because they lost a loved one while they're still trying to play politics.
Senator Jones, I want to leave it there. No need for us to travel back on the FAMU Cookman thing because I think the people, yes, we know, Rebecca, we know, but I think the people also need to know that there are politicians, and I don't even like they're leaders that actually do give a damn. Can you tell the people exactly like how they can get up with you and how they can support what you're doing, because you're one of those leaders?
I appreciate that, Ben. And Rebecca, I appreciate the conversation, y'all allowing me into this space. You can always follow me on Twitter. I'm at Shevrin Jones, Instagram, Shevrin Jones, Facebook, Shevrin Jones. And I'll be honest with you, if you follow me on Twitter, you're going to get a mixture of everything. You're going to get some motivation. You're going to get some political backlash. You're going to get it all. So it's
some scriptures too.
It's some.
You can read some scriptures. I mean, we go way back. Yeah. No, I was just excited. I was excited because we didn't even talk about like Koinonia and the family down there and the spiritual side. But you're right, because I look forward to your inspirational messages on top of the political messages. I'm sorry, I just got a little bit excited. Finish to tell the people. Yeah, it's a balance because the one thing I'm sure that I'm clear on, that after this is all said and done, and when I'm done with politics, the one thing that will never leave me is Shevrin in my faith. So that's all I got.
Come on,
man.
It's always some church. Why is it always some church on the show at like some moment? It's so funny.
Because because people need to I think people need to be clear. Like some of the truest radicals in the black community, you're going to find it in the black church. And generally speaking, we who started in the black church and we felt like there's a little bit more that we got to do, both of us. We all, and then Rebecca, you too, we all came out of it and we're doing this work here. And Shevrin, while we're doing it in media, you're literally doing it, working your way through the channels of political power because of, honestly, if I had to assume, and you could speak for yourself, what motivates you is your faith.
It's my faith. That's all. That's all I have. And I'll say this: that after my brother died 3 years ago now, that's when my faith was tested. My dad he started saying something that really started internalizing with me. He said that there comes a point in time to where what you say you believe, you have to start believing it, and that hit me 3 years ago. And so now I use that as my catapult in a lot of different areas. Even when I was running for Senate, as much as my opponents came after me and they did all this stuff to me, that was the one thing that I kept saying to myself: when it's time to believe it, you better start believing it. And that's what I did. Some people ask me, what's my next move? I said, I'm going to move as high as the people take me.
I'm going to move as high as the people take me. Enough said. It. Shout out to FAMU for producing such quality leaders. We'll give y'all that.